hidden treasures of the 119th Psalm. So we are going on a treasure hunt, and the gold we are seeking in this treasure hunt is actually the face of God, pure light. So join us taking this deep dive mining with King David in the 119th Psalm. Well, thank you once again for coming on this dig with me. I'm having so much fun with it today. We get to move on to verse 5 of Psalm 119, and it reads, "Oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes." That's the way it is translated in the King James Version. And as we talked about on the last episode, King David was leveling up when he shifted to that fourth verse. Not that the first three weren't all about being blessed and about being happy, but then as he talked about the Pekudim, this idea of a precept, something that he could do with all his might and with all his strength, like love God or love his children. These kind of things you could see he was leveling up. And as his heart was in this place, I think you could see with me that it would lead him right to where he went here in the next verse, which is he just starts out with, "Oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes." Now, as you might remember when we studied these words that are repeated time and again in Psalms 119, this hazak, this particular type of commandment that he's describing here, which is called a statute, or what I described as the high hard ones. In other words, the ones that are really hard to understand, that the message, the meaning of it is hidden, yet you know that God is telling you to do it. And so here he's asking for what we'll see is something that his heart really, really, really longs for, is being able to keep these things that he really doesn't fully grasp, that he fully doesn't understand. And these are things that are really almost too wonderful for us to understand. So he has gone from the point of leveling up to really trying to level up to be able to keep these hazak, which when we look at that word in Hebrew, as we mentioned when we were doing the words, it has to do with life, and it has to do with strength, in that this het that this letter begins with is the letter for life. It is also the letter for marriage. But then it's also being sort of married to the second letter, which is this hoof, which is like hidden sparks, is really what the letter means. And the idea of actually God's glory is inside of there, and it's actually the very holy of holies. Like, I'm sure it is to you, like it is to me. It's a mystery. Why did Moses need to take off his sandals when he was, standing there on the holy ground? Was it so that his feet would become more holy by being attached to the ground? Or was it that somehow or another his shoes would somehow defile the holiness of the ground? It's hard to understand. Yet Moses did it because it was, one of these very holy things to do. And so here, David clearly didn't understand, when they were going to move the ark, how that needed to be done, how they needed to handle it. And he and his friend ended up getting killed over it. And so here David's heart is longing to not just keep these kind of commandments, but that his ways were directed, that he would have extra help, so to speak, extra guidance. And as I think about how he is trying to level up, now he's loving God with all his heart, with all his soul, with all his strength. And now if I just be able to keep these things I really don't know how to keep, I don't even know for sure what they are or how that should be done exactly, like carrying the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, just think of the mystery of being able to carry God. I don't know how all that works, and certainly the Philistines went awry by doing that, if you might remember all the curses they got. And so the point of this is there are things that are so holy we just truly do not understand. And like God's glory, we want to see more and more of it, but we don't necessarily know why he hides his face from us. So, with the psalmist, I wonder if we can teach our children and teach ourselves and next generations is, oh, that our ways would be directed to keep thy statutes, thy really difficult commandments that we really don't understand. This verse, the more I have processed it, actually the more I've come to love it and enjoy so much when I'm reading through these verses of the 119th Psalm. Keep digging.